Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. Time to talk a little intercollegiate sailing with Olivia de Olazarra. And for you and your teammates, I've asked all of our athletes this spring that are still competing, just what is it like to be competing right now after what you all have gone through individually and clearly as crews over the last year?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I mean, from mask wear on land and then being able to take them off on the water, and so many teams being limited in like their capacity to compete at all. We've definitely seen like kind of an asterisk year, as we like to call it. But we're really excited to be able to host nationals here this year. I mean, we were not sure if there would be a national championship at all, and that would have meant losing 2 nationals for us. So we're really excited to get that going. It's been crazy. I mean, obviously social distancing at every event. And so like someone you might start right next to on the line and like be in attacking duel with the entire race, you can't talk to on land. But you can be in a protest room with them. And so like, it's definitely been, the social aspect of the sport has also been really interesting. All the things that you don't really think about, like being in the locker room together at an event, seeing people that way has all changed a lot. Not to mention travel. We've done all one-day events, traveling and coming back the same day as opposed to our usual kind of full weekend. So it's been pretty different, but.
Well said. For you guys during that ROM period, and you know, each sport has its own demands physically, mentally. But when you guys had to take the ROM period the way you did, you know, was there anything that you could do? Could you do minimally to try and, you know, at least stay engaged in your discipline as you knew at any point, you know, somebody could hit the button and you could be back competing, you know, literally in hours at that point?
Yeah, that was pretty tough. I also came back late. I came back in February because I was exposed. And it was definitely hard to stay on the train. I spend most of my time in the gym training, whereas I know some of my teammates do a lot more body weight than I do, but I'm a smaller individual, so I only had my body weight during ROM, and so that was definitely a challenge. But I mean, it was just, I was reading. I have a few like books that I like to reread by some of my favorite sailors. So trying to keep like that mental game alive, like keep my strategy and tactics on point when I couldn't necessarily keep my physical game up to the par I'd like to.
To be a part of this particular sport in one of the world's sailing capitals, not just, you know, America's, but this is one of the sailing capitals of the world. To be part of this activity here, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty fortunate. I also grew up in Miami, Florida, so I went from one sailing capital to the next. So, I mean, it's been a huge part of my life. It's my community, no doubt, whether it's college sailing or just sailing in general. It's nice to like know so many people in Annapolis. And it's one of my favorite things to see so many sailors that live here and train here and come here. And that was definitely a motivating factor in my choice to come here.
You know, people don't realize this, but those who have, you know, we've heard your captains speak in the past and some of the great activities that this particular sport exposes you to here at the academy. I mean, you know, people may think they ride down there by the boathouse, they see the boats down there, that think y'all maybe take them out, go over to the Bay Bridge and turn around and come back. That's not quite what you all get to do. What have been some of the cool experiences that you all have been able to do as part of the sailing community here at the Naval Academy?
I mean, obviously get to travel every weekend, like especially, I mean, not so much this year, but my plebe year, like every single weekend I was off the yard, which is like a pretty cool thing for a plebe. Like I never spent a weekend in Bancroft. Now I also spent a lot of hours in a van, but I mean, like that's an awesome experience as a plebe to be with second class in a van, going to Cornell, going to Brown, going to Yukon. And so I think that's like a super cool experience. And my dad's always talked about like the kind of independence that comes with sailing. Like I grew up as, you know, like a 6-7-year-old learning how to sail and like carrying all my own gear over my shoulder. And, you know, like I think people, yeah, like they mistake it. They're like, oh, you just like go out to the Bay Bridge and come back. But I mean, like you're out there like with the wind and the water, and like it's, I don't know, I think it's a unparalleled sport, but I'm inherently biased.
Yeah, no doubt. You've had a chance to be both the skipper and a crew here at the Naval Academy. What are the different responsibilities, one being a skipper or being a part of the crew here?
Yeah, so skipper, for those that don't know, drive the boat. So you have the tiller in your hand and you control the main sheet. So, you know, in college sailing, that's the big decision-making role on the boat. You're like choosing like wind attack, and obviously you have to be in like complete communication and in sync with your crew. And the crew is like the big kind of information feeder on the boat, you know, like telling the skipper where they are relative to the boats, like to other boats, kind of like giving the skipper a better situational awareness of the entire course as a whole. And obviously like trimming the jib and working on boat handling to keep the boat really flat and high card.
Any home course advantage this week with this being here in Annapolis for you all?
There has the potential to be a home court advantage. I think it should be interesting to see how much boat shop we have. That could be the silent killer. Because, you know, Annapolis summer, everyone's going to be out on their boats and it gets pretty sloshy out there. But I mean, in certain conditions, it is nice to have sailed here. But I think it's a fair course. It's anyone's game.
Olivia, appreciate you taking the time for us today. Continued success to you and your teammates, and best of luck as you compete Wednesday and Thursday right here in Annapolis. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, you too.